can move the Earth. That's nonsense. It's like saying, give me a spacecraft that can travel 1 billion times faster than light, and I can reach the 10,000-year world. The true sage is not the one who moves the Earth, but the one who finds the fulcrum. Not the one who rides the spacecraft, but the one who can build it. According to the unconventional thinking theory of Life-Echanuan, there is no absolute impossibility in the world. There are only those who fail to consider all possibilities. There is nothing that cannot be done. Can we talk face-to-face across thousands of miles? Can we see everything happening on Earth while sitting at home? The answer is, people have already achieved this. Can humans live for 10,000 years? Can they live forever? Can all terminal illnesses be cured? Can people live in the Elysium world? Many might say it's impossible, but in reality, it's not just possible. It's absolutely achievable. Life-Echanuan's theories have already addressed these questions. There's nothing that cannot be done. Only things that are beyond the reach of one's thinking. Life is a non-material structure with spirituality. As long as this structure remains unchanged, one can live forever. Terminal illnesses are merely external manifestations of imperfect life structures. By perfecting the structure of life, terminal illnesses will vanish without a trace. Can people live in the Elysium world? It's as easy as flipping your hand. Sorry, the secrets are only for Chanyuan celestials. Can the Earth be moved? With Mars as the fulcrum and standing on Pluto to pry, you can move the Earth. Another nonsense statement, right? The first question is, where would you get such a long lever? Next, who can stand on Pluto to pry? And then, who has the strength to do it? A single straw can break a camel's back. There's no doubt about that, right? A master of Taiji can use 4 ounces to move 1,000 pounds. The most exquisite swordsmanship has no sword. The best cultivation is not cultivating. The most refined mystical arts have no form or appearance. The strongest is the softest. The mightiest is the weakest. Laozi said, great perfection seems flawed, yet its use is boundless. Great fullness seems empty, yet its use is endless. Those skilled in counting do not use counters. Those skilled in closing shut without bolts yet cannot be opened. Those skilled in tying bind without ropes yet cannot be untied. Illness arises from the mind, and the environment is shaped by the mind. The form of life corresponds to one's way of thinking. Consciousness creates reality. What is the distance between the atomic nucleus and the electron? How vast is the distance between Earth and Pluto? Measuring micrometers and nanometers with an inch is like using an atomic bomb to kill a mosquito. Measuring light years with a yardstick is like using grains of sand to measure the Milky Way. So, which is longer, the inch or the yard? It's all for entertainment. Holographic thinking is simply wonderful, indescribably joyful, boundless, and unrestricted. Play however you like. Not only can you lift the Earth, but you can also sweep the entire Milky Way into an iron dustpan with a broom. 100,000 light-years pass in the blink of an eye. It's so much fun. No wonder Sun Wukong can travel 108,000 miles with a single somersault, just a piece of cake. No wonder the Earth-traveling sun can freely walk through the Earth, like a shark swimming in water. No wonder Laozi sighed and said, those of ancient times who were good at the Tao were subtle and profound, mysterious and all-penetrating, deep beyond comprehension. No wonder the Buddha Shakyamuni taught his disciples to let the mind arise without abiding anywhere. Marvelous! Marvelous! How great was Lizi's teacher, Huzi? Hey, my friend, if you have nothing else to do, try lifting the Earth for fun. It's quite entertaining. 明道若昧，进道若退. The way of the Tao seems obscure. Advancing in the Tao seems like retreating. Xiefeng. May 3, 2006. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The bright, great path appears dim and obscure. The road to progress seems like a series of setbacks, shedding armor and helmet. The smooth path appears rugged and full of danger. The mature path feels innocent and childlike, returning to simplicity. The dark path seems sunny and well-lit. The regressive path appears to be thriving, advancing daily. The rugged path looks flat and wide. The path to freedom feels filled with barriers and difficulties. The road to joy seems weighed down with heavy shackles and great losses. The path to happiness looks burdened with debts, needing daily repayment. The road of love resembles a wind-swept bamboo forest, with affection scattered. The path to becoming a ghost, a lost or restless spirit, appears radiant and charming. The road to becoming human resembles a vigorous competition in a jungle. The path to becoming immortal, a celestial being, seems at peace with the world, soaring freely. The way to becoming a Buddha, reaching enlightenment, feels like drunkenness and dreaming, moving against the current. With every rise, there comes a fall. With joy, sorrow follows. Having much inevitably leads to confusion. Worrying much brings spiritual dizziness. The less one has, the freer they feel. The more one has, the more entangled they become. Starting with hard tasks makes the rest easier. Starting with easy tasks makes them harder. The more arrogant and self-important one is, the more they are despised. The humbler and more modest one is, the more they are respected and cherished. The more desires one has, the larger the door to desires becomes. The more one restrains, the smaller the door becomes. The more intangible and spiritual one becomes, the more grounded they feel. The more materialistic and practical one is, the more hollow they feel. The more one has, the emptier they become. The less one has, the more fulfilled they are. To put oneself last is to be first. To step outside oneself is to truly exist. Those who speak of the Tao do not know it. Those who speak of goodness are not truly good. Those who speak of virtue lack it. Those who speak of trust are untrustworthy. Those who speak of wealth are poor. Those who speak of power lack it. Those who speak of fame are unknown. Those who speak of love are loveless. Fullness is useless. Emptiness is useful. Colors blind the eyes. Sounds deafen the ears. Objects dull the senses. Desires cloud the spirit. In vagueness, there is form and substance. In darkness, there is essence and truth. In yin, darkness, there is yang, light. In yang, there is yin. The material world reflects the non-material and vice versa. Humans resemble ghosts. Ghosts resemble humans. Buddhas resemble demons. Demons resemble Buddhas. Satan may appear tender, while divinity strikes like lightning. Within fortune lies misfortune. Within misfortune, fortune grows. Flexibility endures, rigidity breaks. Kindness can lead to harm, love to hate, affection to folly, hardship to wisdom. Those who rush are shallow-rooted and wither quickly. Those who proceed slowly are deeply rooted and grow strong. Distance tests a horse's strength. True intentions are ultimately revealed. The highest goodness flows like water. The greatest virtue grows like grass. Great wisdom floats like clouds, and love stands like a mountain. Endure the night, and the day will come. Endure shame, and glory will follow. Endure softness, and strength will emerge. Endure the microscopic, and you'll understand the grand. Flowers attract butterflies naturally, but forcing them into a net brings sorrow. A peaceful mind flows naturally. Forcing calm leads to unrest. A clean body wards off illness, but endless medicine is like scratching an itch through a boot. A pure heart attracts celestial beings, while chaotic practices are like fishing for the moon in water. Those who try too hard fail. Those who cling too tightly lose. The strong age. The rich become poor. Those who know others are wise. Those who know themselves are enlightened. Those content with what they have are rich. Those who recognize wealth are content. To take, first give. To destroy, first build. To capture, first release. To love, first offer a small taste of hate. Reversion is the motion of the Tao. To seek sweetness, first endure bitterness. To be a teacher, first be a good student. To make money, first distance yourself from it. To become an official, first love the people. To enter a park, first buy a ticket. To win a lover's heart, always give them freedom. To become a noble Chanyuan celestial, a member of Chanyuan, always remain humble. The way of the Tao seems obscure. Advancing in the Tao feels like retreating. By thinking unconventionally, the path reveals itself amid dark willows and blooming flowers. 最高级的交流方式. The highest form of communication. 写 Feng. May 9, 2006. There are many ways for lives to communicate with each other through gestures, forms, postures, scents, images, language, and spiritual connections. For instance, some insects, like ants, primarily communicate through their antennae, which is a form of physical communication. The Venus de Milo-inspired communication involves conveying information through physical forms. The graceful dancing of swans during courtship and human dance are examples of posture-based communication. Animals, such as female sheep in heat, emit scents, which male sheep follow to complete a transaction. Images, advertisements, and similar media primarily rely on visual communication. Language is the main way humans communicate with each other, but the highest form of communication is spiritual. Spiritual communication is the universal language for all life in the universe. It transcends race, space, and time, allowing humans to communicate spiritually with insects, plants, animals, people who speak different languages, deities, ancient people, and future beings. Spiritual communication is free from barriers. It can occur directly, face to face, or indirectly, across great distances. A connection of hearts spans the universe, bridging billions of light years in an instant. Humans can communicate with insects and plants, and these organisms can sense human attitudes toward them. They can perceive human emotions like joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness. If insects overrun a house, a friendly spiritual attitude can persuade them to leave. A flower in a room will grow exceptionally beautifully and release health-promoting scents if its owner communicates affectionately with it. Humans can also communicate spiritually with nature. By treating the sun, moon, mountains, rivers, and plants with kindness and friendliness, nature responds with perfection. In a thriving natural environment, expressing love through spiritual communication will result in protection from those plants and animals. Even a bee or a blade of grass can play a significant role at a crucial moment. Though this might seem incredible, it is a reality that happens everywhere, all the time. Humans can communicate with deities. In fact, worshiping deities, burning incense, and bowing are all forms of communicating with them. However, the best method is not through physical gestures, postures, or language, but through the heart. Thus, having deities in one's heart and frequently repenting and praying inwardly constitutes direct spiritual communication with them. The ways in which deities respond are varied and multifaceted. People can communicate with those who speak different languages. Especially during youth, even if two people speak different languages, mutual affection and desire can lead to a harmonious connection. This is evident not only from their gazes, but also from the powerful attraction and integration forces in their physiological fields. Human beings have an energy field around them, an invisible, rotating energy with light. This field, energy, and light change with mental states. The energy field and the color of the light in a loving state differ completely from those in a state of hatred. Observing the energy field and light between two people arguing is like seeing volcanic eruptions with black smoke, while the fields and light between lovers resemble a beautiful cosmic dance with swirling, colorful lights. Humans can engage in long-distance spiritual communication. As long as both parties think of each other at the same time, communication and emotional connection are possible. Humans can communicate with ancient people. For instance, devout Christians and Buddhists can have harmonious spiritual exchanges with Jesus and Buddha, experiencing their kindness and affection as if they were close family members, inseparable friends, or intimate companions. Reaching such a state allows for a complete understanding of Jesus and Shakyamuni, enabling one to articulate words that Jesus and Buddha have never spoken to others. Humans can also communicate with people from the future. Many prophets, seers, and science fiction writers engage in direct communication with future beings. Humans can communicate with the greatest creator through the heart. Here is a secret. The most perfect and highest form of lovemaking is spiritual lovemaking. When I traveled through the Three Realms Transit Continent, I saw how the immortals, celestial beings, in the 10,000-year world make love. None of these celestial beings were ugly or disabled. They were all very handsome and beautiful. They did not need physical contact to make love. It was all through spiritual communication. You would see a wonderful display of interaction between two magnetic fields, truly intoxicating and enchanting. In summary, the highest form of communication in the universe is spiritual, not linguistic. Spiritual communication can also be called consciousness communication or soul communication, and the most perfect form of spiritual communication is through love. 永远只做简单事. Always do simple things. 些 thing. Big things start from small beginnings. Without small things, there are no big things. By consistently doing simple tasks, difficult things become manageable. When things are often easy, difficult matters cease to exist. Complexity is embedded in simplicity. By consistently focusing on simple tasks, complexity will vanish. A towering building starts from the ground, and a masterpiece begins with a single character. Trees grow into forests, and tiny drops accumulate into oceans. There are no difficult things in practice. It's about keeping a heart full of gratitude. Cultivation doesn't require much effort. A calm and peaceful heart is sufficient. Being a good person is simple. Be honest, keep your word, and don't take unfair advantage of others. Becoming a celestial being is not unattainable. It's about seeking freedom, joy, health, and blessings. There are no big, difficult, or complex matters in the world. Only small, easy, and simple things. Yesterday has passed, and another sun rises in the east. The past cannot be reclaimed, so focus on the present. Brush your teeth, wash your face, and clean the courtyard. Show care and concern for your parents. Remind your children to tie their shoelaces, and tell your spouse, "You look beautiful today." Read a book, get some work done. Jot down some thoughts, mend the wall, block mouse holes, stretch your muscles, focus on your own business, avoid envying others' happiness, and refrain from yearning for others' higher status. Do not seek fame or recognition. Seek only peace, health, and harmony. Enjoy the simplicity of plain meals and the contentment found in mending and patching. Be true to yourself in your dealings with heaven, earth, and people. Even if you enter Zhongnanhai or the White House, maintain your integrity. If you can do this consistently, you are indeed extraordinary. Don't waste your energy on pointless arguments. Be quick to say, "I'm sorry," and don't let grievances make you angry. Believe that the greatest creator loves you. Don't aim for grand achievements. Focus on the small tasks at hand. Act within your capabilities and avoid letting vanity harm you. Avoid associating with wrongdoers. Conflicts often arise at the table of food and drink, and cheap deals frequently bring trouble. Accept what is rightfully yours and firmly refuse what isn't. If you avoid wrongdoing, spirits will not disturb you. If you see gold by the roadside, treat it as if it were a cancer virus. Keep your distance. In your leisure time, listen to some music to refine your temperament. Occasionally savor quotes from Precepts for Family Management by various masters, Extended Maxims for the Wise, or Vegetable Roots Discourse, to appreciate the wisdom and virtue of the sages. Or reflect on the spiritual realms of gods, Buddhas, and celestial beings from the intermediate treasury of classical advice. A tree cannot survive without its bark, and a person cannot be without friends. True friends are the best of treasures, people among people. A teacher imparts knowledge and resolves doubts, while friends discuss Tao and alleviate boredom. Reverence for heaven, earth, and deities, and respect for parents and friends are essential. Always see yourself as the humblest person in the world. Don't be afraid of filth or dislike pigsties. Let others have the best and take the lowest place for yourself. If you live this way, life will be renewed every day, and you will climb step by step. No path will seem too difficult, and you will navigate through the world with ease. Every day, focus on small tasks. Start with the easiest tasks and complete simple things promptly. Don't try to move mountains first. Start by gently wiping away small grains of sand from your eyes. Don't attempt to push a train first. Remove small grains of sand from your shoes. Don't think about distant treasures first. Manage your small plot of land well. Don't strive to become a celestial being or a Buddha. Be a simple, ordinary, reliable person first. Don't rush. Be calm. If the sky falls or the earth sinks, just play your tune. If it rains or your mother wants to remarry, don't be sad or worried. If your partner leaves or children disappoint you, let it be. As long as there are green hills, there's no need to worry about firewood. As long as our home is intact, don't fear loneliness. Life is a journey where nothing is truly gained or lost. There's no fear of changing to a new vehicle to the new realm. Unable to do grand things, I can only focus on the small tasks of writing articles. Complex matters require effort. I prefer the simplicity of writing. If you're idle, it's better to do something within your capability. Working is better than idleness. Heaven doesn't disappoint the diligent, so accumulate virtue where you can. Small efforts should not be avoided. Another sun rises in the east. Friend, from today on, focus on the smallest, simplest, and easiest tasks. As the sun sets, finish the smallest and simplest tasks at hand. You will feel at ease in your heart. 寻求最佳组合. Seeking the optimal combination. Xiefeng. A skillful cook cannot prepare a meal without rice. Thunder and lightning are created when positive and negative clouds collide. Explosives require a detonator to ignite. Seeds need moist soil to grow. Fertilization occurs through the union of male and female. Only when a fine horse is paired with a good saddle, a beautiful woman with a worthy partner, flowers with green leaves, and a singer with a stage, can their true beauty be fully revealed. A calligrapher needs a responsive brush to create exquisite works. A general manager requires competent assistants to run a company efficiently. A race car driver needs a high-performance car to outshine competitors. A violinist needs a well-crafted violin to produce captivating melodies. Gasoline releases energy when ignited. Fish swim freely in rivers, lakes, and seas. Currency circulates in markets. A computer, when connected to power and the internet, shows its full potential. Metals combine to create alloys. And a wise person resonating with life genuine can become a celestial being or a Buddha. Humans have infinite plasticity and potential. They can be either pillars or great beams. Live a life of mediocrity or one of brilliance. Become thieves or heroes. It all depends on the environment and conditions they are combined with. Oxygen combines with hydrogen to form water, with copper to create copper oxide, and with aluminum to form aluminum oxide. Those close to vermilion become red. Those close to ink become black. Worship Buddha and you gain Buddha's nature. Pursue immortality and the unreal can become real. A common person who converses with a saint can soon become wise, while a sage who keeps company with demons may eventually become a monster. Mencius's mother moved their home 3 times to create the best environment for him. Liu Bei found Zhuge which enabled him to secure 1/3 of the kingdom during the Three Kingdoms period. Xiefeng, with the help of Xianhe Celestial, founded Life Genuine. Sun Wu met Gue Guzi and became a great military strategist. On the other hand, Yu Fei's ambitions were thwarted by Qin Hui, and Napoleon was defeated at Waterloo due to having a strictly rule-bound subordinate. Buddhas need golden adornments, horses need saddles, people need clothing, and goods need packaging. Utilizing resources wisely enhances value. Climb high to see farther, use a boat to cross a river, take a plane to fly, and use a phone or computer to communicate across distances. Dual cultivation between men and women can explore the blissful realms. Non-inert gases react chemically. Different pigments blend to form new colors. The toxicity of raw Pinellia and raw Erythema is reduced by ginger. Eating cucumbers with peanuts harms the kidneys and causes diarrhea. Mixing tofu with honey can lead to deafness. Gypsum paired with Anna Marina significantly enhances its cooling effect. Licorice counteracts euphorbia, veratrum counteracts ginseng. Aconite counteracts Pinellia. Croton fears morning glory, and clove is counteracted by turmeric. South oranges transplanted to the north become trifoliate oranges. Einstein, by moving to America, discovered the mass energy equivalence, leading to the birth of the atomic bomb. These numerous examples demonstrate that combining things or people with different environments and conditions produces varying results. There are countless paths, but there is certainly one optimal path. Among millions of people, there is one person best suited to you. Among countless environments, there is one that benefits you the most. Among myriad combinations, there is one that is the best. 1 + 1 = 2 is common, but real situations often differ. 2 timid people together become more timid. 2 bold people together become bolder. Two saboteurs together become more destructive. A usually docile dog may start biting if paired with a biting dog. Some combinations amplify energy, while others diminish it. Being with some people brings joy and confidence in life, while others bring sorrow and loss of faith. Certain environments inspire and refresh, while others dishearten. Beautiful mountains and clear waters produce talented people. Desolate mountains and harsh waters breed rogues. Like father, like son, like mother, like daughter. To know a person's character, observe their friends. These all indicate that a person's successes or failures in life are heavily influenced by their environment and combinations. Some books, people, and environments can turn decay into wonder. Certain thoughts, consciousness, and words can quickly cultivate the qualities of celestial being and sages. A chance opportunity, a serendipitous encounter, or a single gathering can profoundly alter one's life's trajectory. Plants need fertile soil to thrive. To ascend the highest realms of life and existence, one must seek the optimal combination. What books to read, whom to associate with, which websites to visit, all are crucial. Whenever humans contemplate, the greatest creator laughs because of human confusion. But once distinctions are clear, layers are distinct, and the mysteries of space, time, and life are understood. Utilizing resources wisely and continuously seeking the best combinations, the greatest creator will no longer laugh but instead say, "This person is extraordinary." With eyes on all directions and ears attuned to everything, frequently climb out of the well, proactively seek positive energy, combine with people wiser than yourself, and keep company with those who have opened their spiritual awareness. Even rotting wood can become a masterpiece. Electron collisions generate boundless energy. Anyone can be a vast reservoir of energy or a palace filled with treasures. The key is finding the key that unlocks the treasure. Once the optimal combination is found, the door to endless opportunities will open. 莫为目标苦己. Do not suffer yourself for goals. 写finge. Living for goals leads to a life of sorrow, misfortune, anxiety, dullness, and mistakes. Life is a journey where the process is more important than the goal. When we look back, what stands out on the screen of our memories are the details of life, not the results or targets. Childhood memories of playing by the river, catching squirrels in the hills, carrying a school bag, kicking shuttlecocks, playing ball with friends, receiving praise from teachers, hearing mother's approval, listening to father's humming tunes, teasing classmates, walking with friends, the excitement of writing love letters, playing cards with colleagues, drinking with neighbors, staying up all night playing mahjong with friends, arguing over chess with brothers, discussing profound topics with like-minded individuals, the first kiss and making love with a lover, sharing feelings with online friends, driving on a leisurely trip with family. All of these details create a rich and colorful life. Neglecting these details means missing out on happiness and joy. Sadly, the vast majority of people live for goals and results, ignoring the flavors of life in the present. I know a couple who run a business abroad and have amassed at least $1 million in assets. Yet, their rented home is sparsely furnished with just a bed, a TV, two simple stools, a table, a car, and basic kitchenware. When I asked why, they said they live abroad to make money and plan to enjoy life back home once they've saved $3 million. After 3 years, they still live this way, unsure if they will ever enjoy life when their goal is achieved. Their current suffering is for an elusive future. Two project managers from a large construction company live in extreme poverty, saving every penny for their children's education. Tragically, just a week before returning to their country, they died in a car accident. Such a tragedy. Upon careful analysis, we find that people live for goals and results. The birth of a child, school, diplomas, buying a house, a car, marriage, health, accumulating wealth, achieving higher positions, or securing a grave for the afterlife. Some achieve their goals, while others fall short. It's not worth it. If ordinary people ignore the process of life due to ignorance, what about those in the realm of spiritual practice? It's even worse. Christians have been waiting for Jesus to return for nearly 2,000 years. Buddhists have awaited the end times for over 2,000 years. Their brief lives are consumed by this waiting. Marxists anticipate the arrival of communism, and the Chinese people born in the 1970s have been waiting for the modernization of industry, agriculture, national defense, and science and technology by the end of the century. Today, many may be waiting for a moderately prosperous life, and a comfortable old age. Practitioners also wait. They give up the rich and colorful life of the present for the promise of becoming celestial beings or Buddhas. They are impatient, obsessively seeking Tao and high-level teachers. They are so fixated and stubborn, completely forgetting the meaning of life and neglecting the joy of practice. They become neither fully human nor ghostly, which is truly tragic. In recent years, I've also observed those involved in democratic movements. To achieve their self-made goals, they sacrifice their families, causing worry to their parents, and lose their youth by going in and out of prison. They even turn against friends, hurling insults at each other, and ultimately, they bury their beautiful lives in pursuit of an illusory goal. Are they wise or foolish? Living for goals is fine, but the problem is that people who live for their goals often cause others pain. To achieve their goals, they may resort to any means. Abuse their children, oppress the weak, lie, deceive, betray, scheme, and lose their sanity. Why suffer so much? My philosophy is, do not suffer yourself for goals. Be happy when you can, indulge in joy for even a moment, focus on beautiful things, and don't overly worry about the future. Don't frown over goals and results. Live in the present, understanding that the earth will keep turning and others will keep living even if you're gone. The horse will keep running, the dance will keep going. Live lightly and happily. Many people see themselves as grand, as if they carry a great mission, as if they are saviors. But this is self-delusion and unnecessary self-torment. Life is but a dream. All changing things are as transient as fleeting clouds. To feel and experience life fully leaves one with no regrets. Don't mistake a game for reality. I don't oppose setting life goals. A life without goals is an illusory life, an empty life, a boring life, and a lonely life. However, goals should serve life, not turn life into servitude. Living for goals is pitiable. As the founder of Life Genuine, my goal is to create the Life Genuine era. I find it quite enjoyable, spending each day with Chanyuan Celestials, talking about love and affection, and having fun. Whether or not this era is realized, I'm not concerned. Whether it is created or not, it doesn't matter to me. As long as there is joy, I immerse myself in it. I care about the details and the process, not the goals and results. 偶然是必然链条上的环节. So-called coincidences are links in the chain of inevitability. Xiefeng. Was it a mere coincidence that the Titanic struck an iceberg? Let's examine 3 precursors related to the Titanic's collision with the iceberg. In 1898, British writer Morgan Robertson published a novel titled Futility. The story describes a luxurious ocean liner named the Titan, which is said to be unsinkable, on its maiden voyage from Britain to America. This is the largest and most opulent passenger ship in the history of human navigation, equipped with all the luxurious facilities available at the time. The ship is filled with wealthy passengers who are enjoying themselves to the fullest. However, the ship strikes an iceberg and tragically sinks, with many passengers perishing at Issei. No could have anticipated that the events described in this novel would become a tragic reality 14 years later. On the night of April 14, 1912, the largest luxury liner at the time, the Titanic, struck an iceberg and sank. After the tragedy, people remembered the novel and discovered that, apart from the ship names being almost identical, there were numerous striking similarities. Both sank on their maiden voyages after hitting an iceberg in the North Atlantic. Both ships sailed in April from Britain to America. The fictional Titan had a passenger and crew count of 3,000, while the Titanic's count was nearly the same. The Titan was described as weighing 70,000 tons, while the Titanic actually weighed 66,000 tons. The Titan was 800 feet long, and the Titanic was slightly longer. Both had 3 propellers and collided with an iceberg at a speed of 23 knots. Another similarity was that the heavy casualties in both disasters were due to the insufficient number of lifeboats on board. Comparisons of the New York Times report on the Titanic's sinking revealed that the details and processes were eerily similar to those in Robertson's novel. It could be said that the novel's story was a prelude to the Titanic's sinking 14 years later. It is said that Morgan Robertson, the author of the novel, committed suicide with a gun in Atlantic City, New Jersey, shortly after the Titanic sank, and no one knows the reason for his suicide. British businessman John Warner urgently needed to travel to America on business, and on March 23, 1912, he purchased a highly sought-after ticket for the Titanic. However, in the 10 days leading up to the departure, he dreamt twice of the ship sinking, throwing many adults and children into the water. Troubled by these dreams, he decided to return his ticket. Another person, Charles Morgan, a pastor from Winnipeg, Canada, dreamed of a massive ship striking an iceberg on a dark sea with people screaming and crying on the deck. Between 1900 and 1923, a stone sarcophagus was discovered in an ancient Egyptian tomb, predating the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb. The sarcophagus bore an inscription: "Anyone who encounters this sarcophagus will suffer misfortune or be swallowed by the sea." Indeed, almost all who were involved with the sarcophagus met untimely and mysterious deaths. The sarcophagus was eventually purchased by an American millionaire, and in March 1912, it was loaded onto the Titanic, destined for an exhibition in America. Unexpectedly, the Titanic struck an iceberg during its voyage, and the sarcophagus, along with the ship, was swallowed by the sea. Inside the sarcophagus lay Princess Amenaré. How did this cursed artifact end up on the Titanic? Quotation: in the late 1890s, four young British men traveled to Egypt, where a local smuggler sold them a mummy and sarcophagus. Inside the sarcophagus was Princess Amenaré. The four British men decided to purchase the mummy for a hefty sum of several £1,000s. From that moment on, this obscure princess in ancient Egyptian history brought about a series of bizarre and terrifying misfortunes. The British man who bought the mummy took it back to his hotel. A few hours later, for reasons unknown, he left the hotel, walked into the nearby desert, and disappeared without a trace, never to return. The next day, one of his companions was shot and seriously injured on the streets of Egypt, ultimately losing his arm. The remaining two men also faced misfortune. One went bankrupt for no apparent reason upon returning home, and the other fell seriously ill and ended up on the street. The mysterious mummy was eventually shipped to England, but strange incidents continued to occur along the way. The mummy was finally purchased by a British millionaire who was passionate about ancient Egyptian culture. However, the misfortunes persisted. Not long after, 3 of the millionaire's family members were severely injured in a bizarre car accident, and his mansion was ravaged by fire. Faced with such calamities, the millionaire had no choice but to donate the mummy to the British Museum. Princess Amenaré's curse showed signs even before the mummy reached the museum. While transporting the mummy, the cargo truck inexplicably lost control in the parking lot, reversing and injuring a bystander. Then, 2 workers carrying the princess's sarcophagus into the museum dropped it on the stairs, injuring one worker's foot, while the other worker died suddenly 2 days later for no apparent reason. But the real trouble was only beginning. Amenaré's sarcophagus was displayed in the British Museum's Egyptian exhibit. During its display, night guards reported hearing knocking and crying sounds near the sarcophagus, and even other artifacts in the exhibit made strange noises. Incidents occurred one after another, often accompanied by fatalities. One guard died while on duty, scaring the others into considering collective resignation. Due to the escalating incidents, the British Museum decided to move the sarcophagus to the basement, believing that hiding it away would halt the curse. Did this measure work? It proved futile, as within a week, another person lost their life. The museum curator who had decided to move the mummy to the basement, dying in his office. By this point, the cursed mummy had gained notoriety, attracting the attention of the British media. A photographer ventured into the basement to take photos of Amenaré's mummy, only to develop an image showing a terrifying face. The next day, the photographer was found dead in his home, the cause being suicide by gunshot. Soon after, the British Museum sold the ill-fated mummy to a private collector, who sought the services of Europe's most renowned witch, Madame Blavatsky, for an exorcism. After a lengthy ritual, Madame Blavatsky declared that the mummy still possessed an astonishing amount of evil energy and that the curse could never be lifted. Finally, the witch advised disposing of the mummy as soon as possible. However, by this point, no museum was willing to accept Amenar's mummy, as nearly 20 people had suffered misfortunes or even lost their lives over the past decade due to the mummy. The story doesn't end here. Not long after, an American archaeologist, undeterred by Amenar's dreadful history, purchased the mummy at a significant cost, planning to place it in New York City. Personally overseeing its transport, he had the mummy placed on a massive liner that was making waves in the shipbuilding industry at the time. To be extra cautious, the mummy was placed near the captain's quarters, hoping for a safe journey to New York. That ship was the Titanic. Just as the sarcophagus had warned, anyone who encounters this sarcophagus will suffer misfortune or be swallowed by the sea. Do we still think it was merely a coincidence that the Titanic struck an iceberg? 巧合是偶然的吗? Is coincidence accidental? 邪风. Let's look at a few examples of coincidences. Lucky coincidences. On May 28, 2004, a 77-year-old woman from Poland made international headlines. She had survived 2 plane crashes, 4 train collisions, and even a shipwreck in her lifetime, all of which she miraculously escaped unscathed. Polish scientists wanted to explore why someone could be so lucky. This woman, named Barbara Rojek, had experienced numerous disasters since childhood, yet each time it seemed as if an angel was protecting her, allowing her to come through unharmed. According to the Russian newspaper Pravda, Barbara fell out of a 5th-floor window of her home onto a pile of cardboard at the age of 2 and was completely unscathed. At 10, she was crossing the street when a heavy-set man on a bicycle hit her. Barbara was fine, but the man broke his arm. At 12, a truck rushed towards her, and just as it was about to hit her, a wheel fell off, causing the truck to veer off the road, and Barbara narrowly escaped. The report says Barbara experienced 4 plane crashes, 7 car accidents, 12 mysterious falls from buildings or stairs, and incidents including standing on a balcony that collapsed while watching children play below, the chandelier at the Warsaw Theater falling, 2 train collisions, a gas explosion, a criminal attack, a speedboat sinking, and other disasters. Yet she remained unharmed. To verify these perilous tales, Barbara kept newspaper clippings and eyewitness accounts. Based on these records, she had brushed shoulders with death 127 times in her life, making her a true miracle on Earth. The Sun, Moon, Earth, 395. The average distance between the Moon and Earth is about 380,000 kilometers, while the Sun is roughly 150 million kilometers away from Earth. Dividing the two distances, we find that the Sun is approximately 395 times farther from Earth than the Moon. The Sun's diameter is about 1.38 million kilometers, and the Moon's diameter is over 3,400 kilometers. Dividing these, the Sun's diameter is approximately 395 times that of the Moon. What a coincidental number, 395. What does this number tell us? Think about it. The Sun's diameter is 395 times that of the Moon, but the Sun is also 395 times farther from Earth. Because the distance offsets the size, these two celestial bodies appear to be the same size in the sky when viewed from Earth. Is this phenomenon a natural occurrence, or is it man-made? Where else in the universe do celestial bodies align in such a coincidence? The renowned scientist Isaac Asimov once said, "By all data and rules, the Moon should not be there." He also said, "The Moon is just large enough to cause a solar eclipse and small enough to let us see the corona." There is no astronomical reason to explain this phenomenon. It's the coincidence of coincidences. Scientist H.S. Sheldon stated, "For a spacecraft to stay in orbit, it must fly at 18,000 miles per hour at 100 miles altitude. Similarly, the Moon must have precise speed, mass, and height to balance Earth's gravity and stay in its current orbit." The question is, can these conditions be purely naturally generated? There's another coincidence. The Moon always shows the same face to Earth. Why does the Moon always face Earth with the same side? Scientists say it's because it rotates on its axis at 16.56 kilometers per hour while also orbiting Earth. The time it takes to complete one rotation matches exactly the time it takes to complete one orbit around Earth, so the moon always shows the same side. However, the question remains. No other moons in the solar system behave this way, so why does the moon happen to do so? Isn't this another coincidence of coincidences? The meeting before death. On July 28, 1890, King Umberto I of Italy traveled to Monza, a few miles outside Milan, to prepare for an awards ceremony the next day. That evening, the king dined at a small restaurant and discovered that the owner resembled him in both appearance and physique. In conversation, they found that they were born on the same day in the same town, had the same name, married on April 22, 1868, and both of their wives were named Margherita. Both had sons named Vittorio. The restaurant opened on the same day the king was crowned, and both men received a bravery medal in 1866. The next day, the restaurant owner was accidentally shot dead, and the king was assassinated on the same day. From the above coincidences, we can clearly see that what we call coincidence is actually inevitable. Is moving across thousands of miles accidental? First, let me clarify that this is not fictional but a real event. A person named Pooh happened to read a series of articles on life. His beloved son was restless, often angry without reason, and reluctant to go to school. Pooh casually introduced these life articles to his son, who, upon reading them, completely changed, becoming calm and gaining wisdom rapidly. Pooh was grateful to the author of these life articles and often wished to repay him in some way. The author of the life articles had friends, a couple named Tai and Wan, who by some mysterious force moved to a place called Zhao where Pooh lived. Many people liked Pooh's place. Pooh's friends suggested that the author of the life articles should move to Zhao. A person named Ji crossed the ocean to Zhao and made several suggestions, also hoping that the author could move there. The author, settled in a distant foreign land, never considered moving to Zhao. One day, his wife fell ill unexpectedly. A doctor's examination found her blood pressure, heart rate, etc. were normal, but she had a high fever. With no other solution, the author jokingly said to cheer his wife, "Shall we go to Zhao?" His wife was delighted, and her illness miraculously improved. Keeping his word, the author realized that his offhand suggestion was taken seriously by his wife. With no other choice, he had to turn the joke into reality. Fortunately, he had ceased his business abroad months earlier, and moving had few attachments. In the end, he ended up moving thousands of miles to Pooh's place. A series of coincidences led to his move, and on the second day of his arrival in Zhao, one of his close friends also coincidentally showed up in Zhao, which is thousands of miles from where his friend lived. Each detail seems coincidental and accidental, but these coincidences and accidents are links in a chain of inevitability, heralding an inevitable outcome. Coincidence is a link in the chain of inevitability. Inevitable results are composed of a series of accidental events. Sandstorms, tsunamis, and earthquakes are accidental events, but they are links in the inevitable changes in Earth's ecosystem. Toothaches, sprains, and fevers seem like unrelated accidents, but they are stages in the inevitable development of a body's illness. Fights, car accidents, and suicides appear to happen by chance, but they are inevitable links caused by karma. We often say, losing wealth prevents disaster. On the surface, wealth and disaster seem unrelated, but many incidents occur where misfortune follows financial gain. A twitch in the right eye seems like a physiological phenomenon, but it may signify a future financial loss. If we don't understand the cause, the Titanic hitting the iceberg appears to be an isolated accident, but knowing the cause shows it was inevitable. Individual coincidences and accidents seem unconnected and isolated, but they are drawn together by an unseen, mysterious force, like pearls on a necklace. Each pearl is isolated and independent, but they are strung together by a single thread. We cannot call individual pearls a necklace, but when strung together, they form the whole necklace. Accident is the superficial aspect of development. It is visible, perceptible, and seemingly isolated. Inevitability is the core of development. It is invisible, imperceptible through sight, hearing, smell, taste, or touch, and can only be known through intuition. The appearance of things is determined by their essence, and accidental events are governed by the laws of inevitability. The universe is harmoniously unified by the Tao, which represents order and laws. Within the scope of these laws, everything is inevitable. There are no accidental events. The Tao governs all things in the universe, extending infinitely outward and inward. Therefore, everything that happens in the universe is not accidental but inevitable. Death is certain for everyone. This is the evolutionary law of the Tao. The ways of dying are numerous and diverse, but no matter the possibilities, they ultimately lead to an inevitable result. A seed planted in suitable soil will inevitably sprout, bloom, and bear fruit. Halley's Comet inevitably appears within Earth's visible range every 76 years. Congenital diseases will inevitably manifest at a certain time. After spring, summer must come. Youth inevitably follows childhood. Labor must result in harvest. If harvest were accidental, no one would work. Continuous learning inevitably raises social status. Otherwise, who would want to study? Self-improvement inevitably alters the structure of life. Otherwise, who would heed the teachings of saints and sages? Every accident is inevitable, and every outcome has a cause. The development of life and life is a process of programming. What you input determines the outcome. Although the ways and methods of achieving the outcome may vary and seem accidental, they are actually inevitable. For instance, death is an outcome, but the methods include passing away peacefully, illness, car accidents, battlefield casualties, drowning, burning, dying of anger, laughter, choking, trampling, suicide, and many more. The way of death is beyond our control because when a speck of dust suddenly gets into your eye, you trip over a stone while walking, your wallet is stolen on the street, you get scolded by a teacher at school, you sprain your ankle on the stairs, you get bumped by a bicycle while crossing the road, oil stains drop onto your new clothes while eating, you unexpectedly run into an old friend in a foreign place, an uninvited guest shows up at your home, or you feel inexplicably uneasy and restless. All these seemingly random events are, in reality, inevitable. There is a time-tested saying, if it's a blessing, it won't be missed. If it's a disaster, it can't be avoided. This means that everything is inevitable. In summary, take your time to reflect, and you will realize that accidents are just links in the chain of inevitability. 从必然王国走向自由王国. From the kingdom of necessity to the kingdom of freedom. Xiefeng. The conclusion that everything is inevitable can lead many people to feel discouraged and resistant. If everything is inevitable, then will lying in bed all day earn me a PhD? Will spending my days watching TV make me a billionaire? Will wandering around aimlessly turn me into a celestial being or a Buddha in paradise? Will committing all kinds of crimes make me a president? If everything is inevitable, what is the value and meaning of studying, working, and striving? I want to say that it's not up to you. Since everything is inevitable, you are bound to study, work, and strive. You won't be able to stop yourself. All our actions and words have long been programmed. When you need to relieve yourself, you must find a restroom. If your desires aren't satisfied, you will suffer. When you enter a meeting room, you must speak appropriately. When you enter a classroom, you must sit and listen to the teacher. You won't run onto the podium to make a ruckus. When parents or elders are present, you won't make love to your partner. You won't place dog feces on the dining table as food. You won't, without reason, drive your car off a cliff. Nor will you shoot at a police officer for no reason. Think about it. How much freedom do you really have? Can you escape the constraints and programming of inevitability? A story has a plot, and actors must perform according to the director's instructions. Chess pieces on a board must obey the moves of the player. When we search for information online, we must strictly follow the computer's network protocols. Each person is an actor playing a different role. Each person is a chess piece in the game of the program, and escape is impossible. Relying solely on one's own energy and wisdom, it is absolutely impossible to escape the program. To escape, one needs the help of the program's designer. All life operates within a corresponding, inevitable program and resides within the kingdom of necessity. How can one then move toward the kingdom of freedom? The world of birds, relative to the insect world, is a kingdom of freedom. The world of carnivores, relative to the herbivores, is a kingdom of freedom. The human world, relative to the animal world, is a kingdom of freedom. The world of celestial beings and Buddhas, relative to the human world, is a kingdom of freedom, and the Celestial Islands continent, relative to the 1,000-year world and 10,000-year world, is a kingdom of freedom. Why must rural children attend school? Because only by going to school can they hope to break free from the relative isolation of the rural environment and enter broader fields. Why do people take university entrance exams and pursue postgraduate, master's, and doctoral studies? Because the higher the degree, the richer the knowledge, the more flexible the thinking, and the wider the living space, leading to greater freedom. Why do people strive to earn money? Because once they have money, their range of activities expands greatly, making life relatively freer. Why do we engage in self-improvement and cultivation? Because this is the necessary path from the kingdom of necessity on earth to the kingdom of freedom, such as the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world. Pigs raised in pens, no matter how clever or lively, cannot escape the kingdom of necessity. Birds kept in cages, no matter how beautifully they sing or how lovely their feathers are, can only hop around within the cage. Pigs need human help to leave the pen, birds need human help to fly out of the cage, and humans need divine mercy and the help of gods and Buddhas to escape the constraints of the earthly kingdom of necessity. If you draw 16 concentric circles of varying sizes on paper, the smallest circle represents the inflamed space, followed by the frozen space, the netherworld, the pant world, the animal world, the human world, the 1,000-year world, and the Celestial Islands continent, among others. Each circle is an inevitable program within the kingdom of necessity. Escaping one circle leads to entering a relatively wider and freer kingdom of freedom. Escape from the three realms, not within the five elements. The five elements form a self-contained, closed system. Only by escaping this closed system can one avoid being bound by it. Those who immigrate are no longer subject to the laws and regulations of their original country. Former civil servants are no longer restricted by civil service regulations. After relocating far away, one is no longer bound by old ties, customs, and habits. Leaving the human world for the 1,000-year world means escaping from earthly programs and manipulation. How does one escape the constraints of the human kingdom of necessity to enter the relatively free realms such as the 1,000-year world? By relying on the greatest creator, on gods and Buddhas, and on guides. Life Genuine was established for this very purpose. Prisons are part of national constitutions and laws. To break out, external forces must cooperate effectively. But the most terrifying prison is not the physical one. It is the prison of thought and spirit. Without breaking out of this mental prison, one cannot escape the grand prison of the human world. To better understand the operation of this grand prison, I introduce the concept of Satan as a convenient explanation. The human world is Satan's program, managed by Satan. Satan will go to great lengths to maintain the program's effective operation and will not allow us to easily escape. Many people are accomplices of Satan. They speak of wisdom without addressing the principles of life, burdening us with countless rules and restrictions that bind our freedom, thus hindering us from enjoying life and delaying our life journey. Therefore, we need the power of the Source, relying on the guidance and help of Jesus and Shakyamuni to break out of this prison. How to proceed? By following the values of Life Genuine. 万事皆必然唯我逍遥行. Everything is inevitable, only I roam free. Xiefeng. Knowing that everything is inevitable allows us to follow the flow, let things happen naturally, find inner peace, and live a carefree life. We can free ourselves from the entanglements of worries, emotional ties, ignorance, and the chase of death. Like eagles soaring across the vast blue sky, or dragons swimming in the rolling seas, we remain calm and composed, living gracefully through the bloom and wither of flowers, the rise and fall of clouds, the changes of the seas, and the turmoil of society. Unmoved by praise or disgrace, indifferent to the waves of life, unshaken by earthquakes or the trembling earth, even with a blade to the neck, we remain calm. We do not rejoice in success, nor grieve over adversity. Whether disaster strikes or fortune arrives, it is all part of life's game. Nothing is truly urgent. Life is a peaceful paradise where birds sing and flowers bloom everywhere. With a serene heart, it feels as though we are always wandering in heavenly realms. This is the advantage of understanding inevitability. When an earthquake strikes, a tsunami crashes, or a world war erupts, treat it like the neighbor's child letting out a loud fart. When a train derails, a flood surges, or bird flu spreads, just see it as nature putting on a show for us. When officials are corrupt, police abuse power, someone is imprisoned, another commits suicide, or someone hits rock bottom, think of it as a subplot in a novel. When your wife runs off with someone, your daughter elopes, your husband takes a mistress, a third party interferes, or a lover leaves you, consider it as releasing a bird from a cage. No more worries about feeding or caring for it. When your parents pass away, the world seems to collapse, your children face misfortune, or your friend's house catches fire, imagine it as a cloud passing overhead. When facing death, see it as the end of your earthly journey and the beginning of a heavenly one. Smile and embrace it with joy. What else is there that cannot be let go? What else needs to be worried about? My coming into this world was inevitable. I do not resent heaven, earth, my parents, or anyone else. No matter if life is smooth or difficult, I will face it with calmness. For good times, I will be grateful. For hard times, I will accept them with ease. My parents are my inevitable karmic bond. Regardless of their abilities, status, health, or temper, they are gifts from heaven, and I will honor and respect them with all my heart. Fate determines when we meet and when we part. Whether it's children, siblings, friends, colleagues, spouses, or lovers, I will not cling to them when they arrive and will let go when they leave. I will fulfill my duties and let fate take its course. When events arise, the mind responds. When they pass, the mind is at peace. I will not be bound by positions of power, nor be controlled by wealth. I will not be swayed by emotions or obsessed with gain and loss. When I can fly, I will soar high. When I can swim, I will swim freely. Life is but a dream, and upon awakening, all is empty. Losing a position is liberation. Losing wealth is tranquility. When people leave, my heart empties. When death comes, it is a new beginning. Whatever happens, happens. I will embrace it all. When family, country, religion, or party are gone, I will simply change old clothes for new, leave the temple or church for heaven. I will unite with heaven and earth and resonate with the Tao. When one door closes, another opens. At the ends of the earth, fragrant grasses abound. At the corners of the sea, true feelings are found. Burning scriptures brings us closer to our innate nature. Without the shackles of family, country, religion, or party, my soul is free and at peace. Whether by hunger, cold, accident, violence, old age, illness, joy, or laughter, death is inevitable. Face it calmly without anxiety. Let the storms rage. I will sit steady in my boat, deeply rooted in my spiritual source. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter will come and go, as will the winds from every direction. Seek joy daily, find happiness in every moment, and experience life fully without regret. 诸法有我, the self in all things. 谢法. Buddhist philosophy presents a concept called all phenomena are selfless, anatta. Is this concept correct or incorrect? From the perspective of the Tao of the universe, the concept of selflessness in all things is correct. All things lack inherent selfhood and only possess Taoic nature. However, if selfhood is removed and there is no self, everything loses its meaning, just as the universe would lose all value if it were devoid of life. It is precisely because of selfhood that all things exhibit distinct layers, structured complexity, myriad forms, and ever-changing phenomena. Without selfhood, the universe would revert to chaos. Because all phenomena have selfhood, life experiences the joy and passion given by nature, enjoys the ups and downs, the joys and sorrows of life through the vicissitudes of time. The self can then yearn for a better future and have the motivation to explore and create. Without selfhood, life would not exist. I think, therefore I am. Without the self, there would be no consciousness or thinking. Without consciousness and thinking, the universe would revert to nothingness. All things possess selfhood. Grass has its grass nature, flowers have their flower nature, mountains have their mountain nature, water has its water nature, Humans have human nature, and Buddhas have Buddha nature. Is there anything without selfhood? Even within the same category, such as humans, Zhang San has Zhang San's selfhood, and Li Si has Li Si's selfhood. The origin of differences lies in selfhood. If all things were selfless, where would distinctions come from? The three realms are only mind, and all phenomena are only consciousness. Without self, where would the mind or consciousness come from? Seth's core idea is reality is created by the self. Without self, where would reality come from? The Buddha teaches us to be selfless, to inspire us to let go of self-attachment. Only by abandoning our attachments, prejudices, and narrow views can we see the true nature of things, realize our inherent Buddha nature, roam freely in the 36-dimensional spaces, liberate ourselves from all barriers and constraints, and detach from the ever-changing phenomena. In doing so, we attain nirvana and achieve supreme enlightenment. Ultimately, all of this serves the self. Laozi's Wu Wei, non-action, is not about doing nothing. The ultimate goal of Wu Wei is non-action, yet nothing is left undone, which is akin to selflessness, while the self remains everywhere. We know that all reality is a projection of self-consciousness. The observer, in quantum mechanics, is the self. The movement of the microscopic world changes with the observer's intent. The crystallization of water molecules observed by Japanese scientists is closely related to the observer's consciousness. The feelings we derive from phenomena are closely tied to our mindset and emotions. Within a small community, such as a family or social circle, the self is the factor that affects group harmony. The actions and words of the self directly influence the emotional changes within this group. This indicates that all phenomena have selfhood. When someone says, "I have reached the state of selflessness," it actually demonstrates the presence of self. Without the self, how could there be a state of selflessness? When someone says, "I have lost the self and am at ease," it actually shows the presence of self. Without the self, how could there be a sense of ease? When someone seeks supreme enlightenment and wishes to go to the Pure Land, it is precisely because of the self. Without the self, who would go to the Pure Land? The sixth patriarch Huineng of Zen Buddhism said that it is not the flag moving, nor the wind moving, but the mind moving. This means that it is because of the self that we see the flag moving in the wind. Without the self, neither the flag nor the wind would exist. In this sense, all phenomena have selfhood. Without the self, phenomena would not exist. Every day and every moment, it is because of the self that we experience the joys and sorrows of life, the ebb and flow of emotions, and the splendor of life and the brilliance of life. Without the self, how could one experience these? The self consists of the small self and the great self. The small self experiences endless suffering and hardship, while the great self experiences boundless joy and happiness. The goal of our practice and cultivation is to transition from the small self to the great self. Pure selflessness leads to emptiness, passivity, and extinction. By elevating consciousness, transforming thinking, and perfecting awareness, one can open the Dharma eyes, the Buddha eyes, and see that all things possess selfhood. One will perceive the Dharma body of the self permeating all phenomena and experience the blissful Pure Land. We must not only look upward, but also downward. We should view the world of humans and gods from the perspectives of plants and animals, and from the viewpoints of humans and gods to view the plant and animal kingdoms. Finally, we must survey all realms. By doing so, we can gain holographic thinking, grasp the true nature of all things, become adept, and attain divine status. 诸行有常, the constant nature of all actions. 谢法, the birth, development, movement, and change of all things follow a set pattern. Everything unfolds according to the internal laws governing its movement and transformation. The universe is a unified whole, and nothing exists independently beyond this whole. This is what is meant by the constancy of all actions. In this context, all refers to all things, actions denote the movements and changes of all things, and constancy refers to a normal state, law, principle, or trajectory. The universe is governed by the spirit of the greatest creator, the Tao. The scope of the Tao is infinite externally and infinitely detailed internally, with everything operating within the Tao. The heavenly net is vast and fine, yet nothing escapes it, hence the universe possesses constancy. When observing the movements and changes actions of the solar system, whether it's Earth, Mars, the Moon, or Saturn, they all strictly adhere to the laws, constancy, of the solar system. There are no random events here. Everything happens by necessity. The alternation of seasons on Earth also follows a pattern. Constancy spring is followed by summer, autumn by winter, and this cycle continues throughout the ages. Human beings also follow the laws of birth, aging, illness, and death, constancy. No matter how many unpredictable factors influence a person, the pattern of birth, aging, illness, and death remains inescapable. When we superficially observe myriad phenomena, everything may appear random, accidental, unpredictable, and impermanent. However, upon deeper investigation, we discover that everything follows certain laws and patterns, constancy, without exception. For example, any object with mass in the universe interacts with other objects. All objects in the universe attract each other. The gravitational force between two objects is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. An object remains at rest or in uniform motion unless acted upon by an external force. An object subjected to a net external force will accelerate in the direction of that force, with the magnitude of acceleration being directly proportional to the force and inversely proportional to the object's mass. The forces of action and reaction between two objects are equal in magnitude, opposite in direction, and act along the same line. An object submerged in a liquid experiences an upward buoyant force equal to the weight of the liquid it displaces. For a given area, the pressure increases proportionally with the applied force. When the same force is applied to surfaces of different areas, the resulting pressure will differ. Smaller areas result in higher pressure, while larger areas result in lower pressure. Similarly, in everyday life, we observe constancy. For example, water freezes at temperatures below zero, gasoline and many other flammable substances ignite when exposed to fire, steamed buns take about 15 minutes to cook, and loss of blood leads to death in animals. An overdose of sleeping pills can cause fatality, eating raw onions with honey can lead to severe digestive issues, and prolonged visual strain, lying down, sitting, standing, or walking can respectively harm the blood, qi, muscles, bones, and tendons. Furthermore, excessive frustration can lead to illness. Turning off a power switch disables the device. Reckless driving causes accidents, and a clean and tidy environment with flowers and greenery uplifts the spirit. The development and transformation of things follow the law of causation. For instance, a great deal of wrongdoing will lead to one's own destruction. Heaven rewards diligence. Humility brings benefits. Arrogance leads to harm. Absolute sincerity can affect even metal and stone. Excessive agitation leads to confusion. Extreme calmness brings clarity. High fame incites jealousy. Excessive favor leads to slander. Excessive joy leads to sorrow. Unbridled desires lead to disaster. Constant dripping wears away the stone. Fruits ripen and fall off the stem. Sow melons, and you will reap melons. Sow beans, and you will reap beans. A virtuous wife reduces misfortunes. A filial son eases his father's heart. Comfort and plenty lead to indulgence. Hunger and cold stir up theft. To covet the benefits of livestock and poultry is to invite the loss of one's nature. To take advantage of human affairs brings the loss of heavenly principles. Excessive enjoyment brings about disaster. Unusual behavior signals misfortune. Buddhism teaches that all things are impermanent, but this is a misconception that has been passed down for thousands of years. If all things were impermanent, we would inevitably become confused and live aimlessly, losing our sense of direction and purpose in life. If everything lacked rules, principles, and patterns, and were merely random events and chaotic occurrences, how could we cultivate and practice? What we cultivate in the morning would be gone by the afternoon. So what would we be cultivating? How could weather forecasts be made? What could science explore? We plant seeds in the spring with the expectation of harvesting in the autumn. If all things were impermanent, could we expect a harvest in the autumn? Good deeds bring good results, and evil deeds bring evil results. If all things were impermanent, where would the retribution for good and evil come from? Indeed, the universe is holographic. A single straw can break a camel's back, and a butterfly flapping its wings in Alaska might cause a storm at the Cape of Good Hope. However, without a pattern, without the development of things reaching a point of saturation or a critical juncture of qualitative change, things will continue along their inherent trajectories. No matter how many unknown factors affect them, they will operate within the laws and principles. The constancy of all actions implies that every effect is contained within the laws and principles. 有之以为利，无之以为用. The benefit of existence and the utility of emptiness. 写法. What exists is beneficial. What is empty is useful. Benefit refers to tangible gains, tools, and consumables. Utility refers to things that can be used in various ways and applied repeatedly. For example, when you buy a radish from the market, the radish represents benefit. It's a consumable good, used once and gone. Similarly, a dictionary is a benefit. It is a tool that can be used repeatedly, but it is static. It does not change. Earning 100 yuan is a benefit, but once it's spent, it's gone. Radishes, dictionaries, and money provide tangible benefits. They are consumable or utilitarian objects. An empty room, on the other hand, represents utility. It can be used as a bedroom, a study, or for storage. Its applications are varied and can be used repeatedly. Interpersonal relationships and friendships are also utilitarian. They can be used for conversation, emotional support, or to help achieve personal goals. A blank sheet of paper is utilitarian as well. You can draw on it, write on it, or fold it into a paper airplane for a child's entertainment. Buying a refrigerator offers utility because its interior is empty, making it useful for storage. A drinking cup is useful because it's hollow, allowing it to hold water. A computer is useful because its internal structure enables it to connect to the internet and offer limitless possibilities. A car, being hollow, also serves as a utility. It provides practical benefits, like transportation, which is a form of benefit. Learning knowledge and skills is useful, but since knowledge and skills can also bring tangible benefits, they also serve as benefits. Things we can see and hear can be regarded as benefits. Those that are beyond sight, hearing, and smell can be regarded as utilities. What exists as tangible benefit is a consumable. What is void or empty is a utility with unlimited potential for repeated use. Benefit is temporary. Utility is infinite. For example, a water cup filled with water, existing, has only one use: holding water. Once the water is poured out, non-existing, the cup can have multiple uses: holding milk, coffee, tea, flowers, or other items. When a utility item is filled, existing, it serves a single purpose. When it is empty, non-existing, it becomes useful in many ways. A blank sheet of paper filled with writing, existing, a room filled with items, existing, or a ship filled with passengers, existing, are all considered benefits. When these things are empty, non-existing, they revert to their utility value. Benefits are tangible and consumable, while utilities are abstract, offering greater value through their potential for varied and repeated use. When thoughts become rigid and minds are fixed, when hearts are filled with preconceptions, people turn into one-time use objects, having benefit but no utility. When loving partners marry, establish a home, and their relationship becomes fixed, it turns into a one-time use tool with no further utility. Becoming obsessed with a particular religion, political party, doctrine, or theory to the point of dogmatism leads to rigid and dead thinking, making it no longer useful. Consistently having tangible benefits means frequent gains. Consistently embracing emptiness means frequent utility. A spring stretched to its elastic limit and no longer rebounds becomes useless. A fist extended and not withdrawn is no longer useful. A person who is dominated by others loses their utility. A mind that stops thinking loses its use. A soul clouded by worldly phenomena loses its freedom and spiritual perception. When events arise, the heart responds. When events fade, the heart remains empty and fresh. When emotions come, love manifests. When emotions fade, love remains empty, and the person remains loving. The wind rustles the bamboo, but when the wind passes, no sound lingers. A goose crosses a cold pond, leaving no trace. The bamboo and pond remain fresh and beautiful, not lingering in the midst of flowers and songs, not dwelling on achievements or moral perfection, not becoming attached to deep emotions or nostalgia, not remaining in places of sorrow, anger, hatred, or resentment. This makes life rich and vibrant. Life moves forward without reincarnation, reaching the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. Consistently holding onto benefits equates to life being a fleeting dream. Consistently embracing emptiness reveals life as a true realm of bliss. To embrace death is to frequently hold onto benefits. To embrace life is to frequently embrace emptiness. 用之不可见，见之不可用. The utility cannot be seen, and the visible cannot be used. Xiefeng. Listen to the sound of silence and enter through the door without form. Rivers flow 1,000 miles without legs. Thoughts soar 1,000 leagues without wings. The ocean has a path only for ships, and standing on a mountaintop makes one the peak. The three realms are only mind, and all phenomena are only consciousness. The Tao possesses substance, form, and function. Humans have flesh, soul, and spirit. The utility of things cannot be seen, and what is visible cannot be used. This is the gate to life. Truth has nothing to do with words, and the Buddha has no appearance. The substance of the Tao cannot be seen or proven, only sensed through spiritual intuition. The gates that are seen are not the gates to life. Using vision alone, one can never find the gates to life. A person drinking water knows best whether it is warm or cold. When the heart is joyful, the spirit vibrates. Whether you have found the way, you know, I know, heaven knows, earth knows, but others do not know. The energy that allows a fertilized egg to grow is invisible. The energy absorbed by someone becoming a celestial being or Buddha is also unseen. The essence of the sun and moon, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and the method by which the Tao transforms all things are invisible. The information that elevates a person's spirit and soothes the mind is unseen. The aura of love can be felt but not seen. Thoughts, wisdom, the expectations of gods and Buddhas, the concern of parents, nourishment, essence, chi, and spirit. These are all invisible, their use unseen. People are visible, along with their endless troubles. Food, tobacco, and alcohol are visible, bringing 100 kinds of disease. Cars, money, houses, and certain other visible things drain one's thoughts and blood. Roads, big and small, and stairs are visible, but often leave people out of breath and tripping over themselves. Houses are visible, but wear out the heart. Machines, factories, company buildings, and stores are visible, where people, like screws, are exhausted and drained. Clothing and cosmetics are visible, consuming time and energy, yet still failing to keep up with fashion. Tourist destinations are visible, depleting savings and tiring legs. The 5 colors blind the eyes, the 5 tones deafen the ears, the 5 flavors dull the mouth, racing and hunting drive the heart wild, and rare treasures lead people astray. What is seen cannot be used. The Tao can be used but not seen. Magical techniques can be seen but not used. Virtue can be used but not seen. External forms can be seen but not used. All forms are illusory. If one seeks me in appearance or sound, they are on a false path and cannot find the Tathagata. Do not attach your heart to form, sound, scent, taste, touch, or dermis. Instead, give rise to a mind unattached to anything. Life is not sustained by bread alone. To elevate life requires a cleansing of the heart. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The treasures accumulated in heaven can be used but not seen, while the treasures stored on earth can be seen but not used. Repentance and prayer can be used but are invisible. Consciousness can be used but is unseen. The consciousness of the negative universe, aligned with your will, can be used but remains invisible. If you have a single penny of debt unpaid, you cannot leave. The debt of a penny is invisible. What belongs to the greatest creator should be given to the greatest creator. What belongs to Satan should be given to Satan. Use visible methods for visible things, and invisible ways for the invisible. If you have fully awakened, everything will be clear. If not, then use dialectics and follow the middle way. If you still do not understand, it is best to keep a childlike heart and play through life. 为无为是无是为无为. Act without striving, handling things without interfering. Savor the flavorless. Tao 1. August 1st, 2006. Extraordinary people must have extraordinary paths, and exceptional individuals must possess qualities that set them apart. Following in the footsteps of the masses leads to mediocrity. Walking familiar roads inevitably repeats the fate of those who came before. If you wish to make your life stand out like a crane among chickens, to radiate wisdom, to reach the realm of ultimate bliss, and to cultivate the highest Buddhist practice, you must act without striving, handle things without interfering, and savor the flavorless. Act without striving means departing from habitual thinking and embracing unconventional thinking, stepping away from the crowd to blaze a new trail. If the masses plant watermelons, I'll plant pumpkins. If they head north, I'll go south. If they study scriptures, I'll play music. If they focus on the practical, I'll explore the abstract. Think about what others refuse to think, do what others are unwilling to do. While the masses go with the flow, I'll swim against it. What I do is precisely what the masses avoid. The common people are bright, yet I alone am dull. The common people are sharp, yet I alone am confused. The masses have plenty, yet I alone seem to lack. The masses have their purposes, yet I alone seem stubborn and foolish. Another layer of act without striving is to place oneself in a state of holographic and emptiness, discarding personal experiences and wisdom. Do not rely on the mind's processing. Allow everything to naturally follow the Tao. Accept what comes without resistance. Let go of what leaves without attachment. Remain unshaken by honor or disgrace, and face death without fear. When events arise, respond with presence. When they pass, return to emptiness. Entrust everything to the Tao and be free and unburdened. Do not seek life, do not seek death, do not seek prosperity, and do not seek decline. Be at peace with circumstances, transform with fate, act according to your nature, and respond to situations as they come. The highest goodness is like water, dwelling in places others avoid, benefiting all things without contention. Handle things without interfering means engaging in matters that others avoid and doing things never attempted by the masses. When the masses pursue movement, I seek stillness. When they chase short-term gains, I remain serene and indifferent. If they flock to cities, I retreat to the countryside. If they chase grand schemes, I hum lullabies. While they haggle over material gains, I focus on spiritual development, even if it means personal loss. When the masses work for family, party, nation, or religion, I work for none. They indulge in nature's beauty, while I find joy in the soul. They care for their bodies, while I transcend mine. While the masses rush to temples in pursuit of immortality, I wander through fields, savoring the peace and joy of the present. They attend school for knowledge. I seek the awakening of spiritual consciousness and the mysteries of life. While they read books, I read the heavens, the earth, and humanity. While the masses pursue a brilliant and prominent life, I walk the path leading to the ultimate blissful realm of life. Savor the flavorless means finding truth in simplicity, sensing the rhythms of the universe's ebb and flow, discovering the extraordinary within the ordinary, and drawing conclusions from it. The revelations of heaven are not found through profound wisdom, nor in the teachings of sages or religious scriptures. It's not about listening to others, but quietly savoring and experiencing the ordinary, allowing it to inspire personal insight. All profound knowledge must be verified through one's own experience. No matter how beautifully others describe their dreams, it remains their experience. To gain your own insights from dreams, you must enter the dream yourself. Truth is discovered through personal experience, not through words, writings, or specific forms. To taste the true natural flavor of fruit, you must avoid adding sugar or salt. To savor what the masses find tasteless, This is the essence of savor the flavorless. Act without striving, handle things without interfering, and savor the flavorless represents a unique path in life, a way of acting contrary to convention. Walking this path is not easy. One must first set a clear, ultimate goal in life, enhance understanding, awaken to the truth of life, and establish unwavering faith. Only then can one remain constant in the face of change and adapt to change while remaining constant. This way, one can adapt to circumstances without losing oneself and change without losing the essence, ultimately achieving a brilliant and magnificent life and attaining the spiritual fruit of a celestial being and Buddhahood. The further one progresses in practice and cultivation, the more flexible, free, and boundless one should become, living unburdened by rules, rituals, and precepts. Otherwise, the path only becomes more constrained and difficult to walk. 角力一元用失10倍. Eliminate one source of profit, amplify efforts tenfold. Xiefeng. Hitler's failure, aside from the arrangements of the Tao of Heaven, was due to his overly broad battlefield strategy. He spread his energy across too many fronts, particularly with the opening of the Eastern Front, which led to his ultimate downfall. To stand out, one must concentrate energy on a single point. The principle of a solar cooker is to focus the sunlight reflected by hundreds of small mirrors onto one point. This way, the warm light becomes extremely hot and can boil pots of cold water. By concentrating energy on a single point, one can generate powerful and incredible strength. Jesus taught that with faith as small as a mustard seed, one could instantly move a tree into the sea. The reason we cannot achieve this is that our energy is scattered. Our desires are too numerous and too great, and we seek to obtain too many things. The blind hear well, the deaf see well. Eliminate one source of profit, amplify efforts tenfold. If we focus our desires on one point, our desires will be quickly satisfied. If we simultaneously want to become wealthy, hold an official position, become a scientist, artist, writer, musician, and also possess supernatural abilities, we will end up mastering none. The reason our spiritual senses cannot be activated is that we overly rely on our sensory functions: sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. If we lose these functions, we can rely entirely on our spiritual senses. If you cover your eyes and block your ears, how do you perceive the world while suspended in midair? Only through spiritual senses. The better our spiritual senses, the less reliant we are on the physical body. Life can indeed be sustained by mental energy alone. If we could reach such a state, we would hardly need our sensory faculties and could control our life and death, leaving the human world at will. If we want to stay longer, we can freely enjoy life. If not, we can leave whenever we wish. Eliminate one source of profit, and efforts are amplified tenfold. Eliminate 10 sources of profit, and efforts are amplified 100-fold. Jesus asked us to give up family, property, and everything to become his disciples. This is not heartlessness, but a way to better direct our emotions. Laozi taught us to put ourselves last in order to be first, to externalize ourselves to preserve our true selves. Buddha taught us to be free from the notions of self, others, lifespan, living beings, and dharma. These teachings guide us toward possessing supreme enlightenment wisdom. If a person cannot save themselves, how can they save others? If they do not know their own future, how can they guide the masses? Therefore, there are too many blind teachers in the world, misleading their disciples. Self-reliance is essential. Saving oneself comes first. If your swimming skills are inadequate, how can you save your struggling parents and children in the water? Moreover, in the vast ocean, even if you can save them, how will you do so? Where is the shore? After rescuing your loved ones, where will you take them? Parents are a benefit, children are a benefit, studying and working are benefits. Making friends is a benefit, serving society is a benefit, supporting a family is a benefit, marriage is a benefit, earning money to buy a car and house is a benefit, honor and status are benefits. If you can eliminate 1, 2, or 3 of these benefits, you can amplify your efforts tenfold to accomplish great things in life. Ultimately, you will have everything. Letting go of everything allows you to gain everything. The ancient Chinese were wise. They taught their children and disciples, in books, there are houses of gold. In books, there are beauties like jade. The meaning is clear. Do not rush to pursue immediate benefits and beauties. Everything you desire is in the books. As long as you study well, everything will naturally come to you. At the time, this was indeed true. Likewise, in Life Genuine, everything is available. Whatever you seek, you can obtain. So, let's fully commit to building Life Genuine and strictly follow the guide's roadmap. Whatever you need, the guide knows. Gradually eliminating a few sources of short-term benefits will quickly lead to long-term rewards. 黑洞中的太阳, the sun in the black hole. 斜缝. Let's conduct a simple experiment. Hang a 100-watt bulb in a room with white walls. You'll find the light to be very bright, fully demonstrating the bulb's value. Now, cover the ceiling and walls with black cloth, and you will notice the change. It seems much dimmer, as if it were a 15-watt bulb instead of a 100-watt one. What's going on here? The brightness of the bulb depends on the reflectivity of the surrounding surfaces. The stronger the reflection, the brighter the light. The weaker the reflection, the dimmer the light. If there is no reflective material around, or if there is no material at all, the bulb emits no visible light, even if it remains hot. The brightness of night depends on the moon reflecting sunlight. A full moon on the 15th day of the lunar month is much brighter than the new moon on the first day, because the full moon reflects more sunlight. If the sky is also covered with thick clouds on the first day, the darkness can be so profound that you can't even see your hand in front of your face. There is a sun within a black hole, but because there are no reflective materials, it doesn't emit light. It's not that the sun isn't there. It's just that nothing is there to reflect its light. Even if a light source is close, without a medium to carry the light, we will never see it, even if it's right next to us. No matter how great a thought is, if there's no medium to reflect it, its greatness will forever remain unknown. The greatest creator exists, but if people's hearts are dark, they will never see him. The Tao flows around us, but if people's minds are narrow, they will never experience the flow of the Tao. No matter how profound the love, if there is no receiver, this love will forever remain buried. These are simple truths, nothing extraordinary. But when we apply these truths in our lives, they will emit a wondrous light. Let's analyze this using the example of Life Genuine. Life Genuine's teachings can be described as profound and vast, but if no one accepts them, they are worthless. When someone accepts them, they radiate brilliance. The more people accept them, the greater their light. The higher the Tao nature of those who accept them, the brighter Life Genuine's light becomes. Each of us in Life Genuine is a reflector. The purer we are, the stronger our reflection, and the more people will see the light of Life Genuine. If we are dark within, not only will we fail to reflect light, but we will also dim it. Reflecting light sources not only makes the surroundings clearer, but also brightens oneself. The more Life Genuine members dedicate themselves to its cause, they not only perform selfless acts for all beings, but also realize their own value. The application of energy works the same way. The more you use it, the more it grows. The less you use it, the less you have. Those who are conservative or whose hearts are closed lack energy. Even if you possess priceless treasures or profound thoughts, if you don't use them, they will eventually turn into a pile of trash. A few days ago, my partner and I played a card game called Chao Di Pai, a popular trick-taking card game in China, or Gai Mao with Qin Celestial and Inha Celestial. This game taught me one thing. You must play your good cards at the right time. If you miss the chance, your good cards will end up useless, merely enriching your opponent while becoming trash to you. If you have good ideas, share them with others. This way, not only will your ideas not diminish, but they will also multiply and deepen. The same goes for love. The more you give, the more you receive. The less willing you are to give, the less love you will gain. If you keep love buried in your heart, by the time you die, your love will be nothing more than a pile of garbage. If you are the sun, then place yourself among reflective materials. If you are not the sun, then become something that can reflect light. Shine together, complement each other. Life is like this. You are either the sun or a reflective material. If you are neither, your life will be pitch black, ultimately ending as a pile of decaying trash or a dirty, dark path. Let us reflect the greatest Creator's light and, in doing so, achieve a glorious life and eternal life. 观妙观照, observing the profound and the manifest. 写法. To understand the essence and scope of the Tao, the celestial Laozi provides an ingenious approach. Hence, always rid yourself of desires in order to observe its mysteries, but always allow yourself to have desires in order to observe its manifestations. Laozi's meaning is that to observe and comprehend the existence of the Tao, its characteristics, and the profound laws of its evolution, one must first transform oneself into a state of formlessness, completely letting go of oneself, without any personal opinions or perspectives, achieving a state of being without self. To understand the mysteries of the Tao's operations and transformations, one needs to immerse oneself in the movement and changes of things, using personal insights and perspectives to interact with the Tao. This statement also implies that by freeing oneself from the constraints of material phenomena and perceiving the world as though nothing exists, one can grasp the essential mysteries of the Tao. Conversely, to comprehend how the Tao governs and transforms the universe, one needs to observe and understand it through the development, changes, and decline of tangible things in the vast world. Buddha's teaching, only by not clinging to the forms of the tangible world can one see the true nature of the Tathagata, essentially shares the same meaning as Laozi's guidance. From this, we understand that what is called the Tao is the Tathagata. What is called the Tathagata is the Tao. Laozi's teachings serve as both an epistemology of the Tao and a methodology for spiritual practice and cultivation. For example, to understand the current state of Chinese society and its future trends, we should apply two opposite yet unified methods. One is to place oneself outside, stepping out of its sphere, perceiving oneself as a non-existent, unrelated entity, and examining it without any personal viewpoint. Only in this zero state can one clearly see its true nature and grasp its essential attributes. The other method is to involve oneself in its development and changes, experiencing each phase directly to sense and understand its evolutionary trends and direction. This approach applies to the Tao, to countries, to every religion, and to every family, and should especially be used to understand and know oneself. In a state without self-conception, without the notion of others, without the perception of sentient beings, without the fixation on longevity, without the view of phenomena, without the view of non-phenomena, without the view of reality, and without the view of illusion, observe who you are. At the same time, live in the real world, leaving tangible footprints to verify the distance between the reality of oneself and the Tathagata nature. Go up the mountain to observe, come down to verify, and repeat this process to grasp the profound mysteries. Being able to enter and exit freely prevents confusion. Entering without being able to exit leads to confusion. Always remaining aloof without engaging also leads to confusion. One must not always dwell in emptiness, nor always in form. One must not always be in illusion, nor always in reality. Constantly being and constantly non-being. These two are the same but diverge in name as they issue forth. Being the same, they are called mysteries, mystery upon mystery, the gateway of the manifold secrets. This aligns with the principles of the Taiji and the rules of spiritual cultivation and practice. From this, we can conclude that purely shutting oneself in for cultivation or solely immersing oneself in reality leads to a muddled life. Both are signs of not truly understanding life. Purely obsessing over a particular religion, political party, or movement is also a sign of not understanding the principles of the Tao. Only by oscillating between being and non-being can one avoid being misled by phenomena and mystical insights. Many who suffer in adversity or feel frustrated in love, and many who feel content in favorable circumstances or relationships, are prone to making mistakes, sometimes even severe ones. This is mainly because they see only being without seeing non-being. Some end up in prison, some are killed, some commit suicide. All because they fail to grasp the principles of the Tao. They go in but never come out. How could they not err? In the eyes of an employer, neither overly clever nor overly naive people make good employees. If we assume that the greatest creator is our employer, and we are the employees, then we should avoid being too naive or too clever. Those who are too naive suffer losses, while those who are too clever invite trouble. We must constantly balance having and not having to be good employees of the greatest creator. 觉悟, enlightenment. 觉醒. Enlightenment, 觉悟, consists of two components. 觉 refers to the immediate response of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, spirit, to external stimuli, while wu refers to understanding and awakening. Together, enlightenment describes a person's reaction through their senses and spiritual awareness, leading to a complete realization of the inherent characteristics and meanings of these stimuli. This journey moves a person from confusion to clarity, from bewilderment to awareness, from ignorance to wisdom, and from death to eternal life. Enlightenment has different levels. The lowest level is realizing that to survive, one must have the basic necessities of life: food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. The highest level of enlightenment is becoming a Buddha. Thus, the ultimate state of enlightenment is Buddhahood, or it can be said that being a Buddha signifies enlightenment. Many people are aware, Ju, but few fully understand Wu. Those who achieve the ultimate and supreme level of enlightenment are as rare as phoenix feathers or morning stars. They are the treasures of the world. A truly enlightened person is not lonely or isolated. If someone feels lonely or isolated, it indicates that they have not yet achieved enlightenment. Attaining supreme enlightenment is not difficult. The challenge lies in perceiving without comprehending. A gentle breeze may blow, and one may feel it, but few people ponder why the breeze exists, why it blows, or why they can feel it. The greatest creator is evidently beside us, clearly within us, yet people still cannot see the greatest creator and doubt his existence. This is not just because their spiritual perception is undeveloped, but mainly because they lack understanding. Without understanding, one cannot truly grasp the truth. Without understanding, one remains in a state of unconsciousness. If the spirit does not awaken, one will remain forever in a dreamlike state. If someone is having a nightmare, it is best to wake them up. But if someone is having a pleasant dream, what should be done? Those awakened from a nightmare will be grateful, but those awakened from a pleasant dream will likely be upset. People in deep sleep do not wish to be awakened, regardless of the reason. Awakening others is not an easy task. Few show joy or happiness upon being awakened, and many display annoyance and displeasure. This is the sorrow of all messengers and saints. Helping people awaken is a burdensome task. Providing them with enjoyment is a pleasant one. This stems from human inertia. Guiding people along a broad, easy path is a delightful task, but leading them through rugged, narrow trails is challenging. This is due to human habits. Enlightenment requires overcoming inertia and habit and demands a shift in life's direction, which is not easy. This explains why so few ascend to the heavenly kingdom while so many descend to hell. There are issues with the God described in the Bible, yet few people think about them rationally or strive to understand them clearly. Except for the Diamond Sutra, other Buddhist scriptures have flaws. Who is willing to observe and understand them? The teachings of the Quran have issues, and the way Islam spreads its truth is problematic. Who is willing to understand? The Big Bang Theory and the theory of evolution have issues. Who is willing to understand? Nationalism, ethnic chauvinism, and family values have issues. Who is willing to understand? Money can save lives but cannot save souls. Who is willing to understand this? Death is not the final destination of life. Who is willing to understand this? Consciousness creates reality. Who is willing to understand this? People loudly proclaim their desire to know and pursue the truth, but how many genuinely wish to understand and pursue it? Like the Duke of Yi, who professes to love dragons, but in reality, it's all for decoration and self-deception. When a real dragon appears, they reject it. Many proclaim their desire to create joy and happiness, but when true joy and happiness arrive, they hesitate and shut them out. Few are truly enlightened. Few strive to reach the shore. Many simply drift with the current. 随性而动. Follow your nature. 觉醒. Nature is the greatest creator, the ancestral Buddha Tathagata, and Allah, yet it is also Satan. Nature is the original state, Tathagata, and the source, but it is also the offshoot. Nature can be divided into innate nature and acquired nature. Innate nature is pure and clear, unstained, while acquired nature is vibrant with colors and rife with impurities. Heavenly nature is the innate nature, while disposition and habits are acquired nature. Heavenly nature reflects the characteristics of the Creator, gods, and Buddhas. Disposition reflects the inherent nature and instincts of beings who reincarnate. Habits reflect the survival inertia formed by mental patterns. Loving beauty is heavenly nature, seeking freedom and joy is heavenly nature, and pursuing eternal life is heavenly nature. Mice burrowing in the ground, birds nesting in trees, wolves eating meat, and sheep eating grass are manifestations of disposition. Similarly, some people enjoy music, while others prefer lying or stealing. These are dispositions, or inherent natures. Smoking, drinking, and staying out late are habits. To follow your nature means to act according to the drives of your heart. It somewhat means going with your feelings. The universe is holographic, and all natures operate within the scope of the Tao and under its control. Following your nature is essentially walking in accordance with the Tao. The stars shine brightly, myriad phenomena manifest in various forms, and the countless postures and changes in the universe showcase its vitality and embody the extension of the Tao. When all things act according to their nature, there can be orderly harmony, with rises and falls occurring in sequence. Birds should fly, animals should run, flowers should bloom at the right time, and plants should sprout and grow in spring. Humans should eat, drink, excrete, experience pleasure, grow old, and die. Gods and Buddhas should save people, demons should harm them, and celestials should live carefree and joyful lives. Roosters should crow, hens should lay eggs, bees should make honey, peach trees should bear peaches, and apricot trees should bear apricots. Each should take its place and perform its duty. This is following one's nature. If you are meant to bloom but insist on bearing fruit, meant to be an ox but insist on being a horse, meant to be a tiger but insist on being a deer, meant to drink water but insist on drinking wine, meant to guard the gate but insist on playing football, meant to wipe the table but insist on sweeping the floor, meant to be human but insist on becoming a Buddha, meant to be a Buddha but insist on being human, meant to endure poverty but insist on enjoying wealth, meant to be Hitler but insist on being a saint, meant to be a thinker but insist on being an official, and so on. That is acting against heavenly nature. This disrupts order and degrades oneself. If you were a president, would you want everyone to be officials? If you had 3 acres of land, would you plant only corn? If you had 20 rooms, would you use them all as dining rooms? If you had a backyard garden, would you cultivate only red peonies? You wouldn't, and neither would the Creator. So let's think. What should we become, and what should we do? The Creator already has a plan and arrangements. How can we live and act according to the Creator's will? How can we earn the Creator's praise? The answer is to follow your nature. To follow your nature means not forcing yourself against it. You know what your heavenly nature likes. If you enjoy playing in the mud, then play in the mud. If you like dancing, then dance well. If you prefer noodles, eat noodles. If you like cucumbers, eat more cucumbers. If you enjoy playing the piano, then learn it. If you like reading, read. If you like killing, become a butcher. If you like teaching people, become a sage. If you like money, do business. If you like power, strive to become an official. Don't try to imitate others, don't compare yourself to others, and don't follow others' guidance against your will. Whatever your heavenly nature loves, do it. That's following your nature, which aligns with the Tao's dominion and operation. This way, you won't do anything wrong, and you won't take the wrong path. Imagine, if your boss wants you to demolish a house, but you work hard to repair it. If your boss wants you to drive the fox out of the home, but you, in your compassion, raise the fox, you may think you're doing good, but in reality, you're doing foolish and harmful things. Hitler may have gone to heaven because he followed his nature. Mao Zedong may have gone to the Celestial Islands continent of the Elysium world because he followed his nature. Good people who do not follow their nature may have gone to hell, and those who don't live properly and obsess over becoming Buddhas or celestial beings may also have gone to hell. When a beautiful person is by your side, you may want to express love and feel an inner urge, but if you strive to conceal your feelings and pretend to be a moralist unmoved by temptations, you're likely not far from hell. This is because you are not genuine. You're fake. You're not beautiful. You're ugly. Parents who do not follow their children's nature and force them to learn this and that are despotic and dictatorial. Anyone who incites, coerces, or forces others is a bad person. Only those who comply with their own and others' heavenly nature are kind-hearted and enlightened. If you are presented with money, power, fame, beauty, and life, and you are allowed to choose only one, just follow your nature. If you weigh the pros and cons, you've violated the principle of following your nature. If you yearn for life genuine and desperately wish to become a Chanyuan celestial, but allow yourself to be swayed by others' good advice and start weighing gains and losses, you are not following your nature. Follow your nature. Enjoy each day happily, and as for tomorrow, deal with tomorrow's matters then. Tomorrow, I will still follow my nature. Following your nature, with your nature being clear and pure, you will have no regrets and eventually attain perfect authenticity. 人有远虑，必有近烦. Those who have long-term concerns will have immediate troubles. Xiefeng. The ancients taught us, a person without long-term concerns will have immediate worries. This statement is only half correct. It embodies the halfway wisdom of those in the middle of the journey or the common wisdom suited for ordinary people, which I do not dispute. However, for practitioners of self-improvement and cultivation, this kind of wisdom is extremely harmful and is the root of life's troubles. Such limited wisdom misleads people into an unrealistic future, making them anxious and restless, chasing desires, distressed by illusions, and ignoring the joy and happiness of the present moment. It buries life's happiness under the fear of an unpredictable future, unnecessarily adding troubles and misfortune to oneself. When a child is just born, foolish parents begin planning for the child's future, worrying about their child's food, clothing, housing, schooling, marriage, and success in life. When the child just starts school, parents start fretting about their child's grades and whether they will get into a top high school or a prestigious university. When starting a job, people begin to scrimp and save, being harsh on themselves to accumulate money for houses, cars, spouses, and parents. Even when they are healthy, they save money in case of future illness. When their marriage is fine, they fret about third-party interference or whether their partner might become unfaithful. Even when life is going well, they worry about their old age and where they will be buried after death. Before even stepping out the door, they worry about potential accidents, illnesses, or trouble along the way. The joy of starting university barely fades before worrying about finding a satisfying job after graduation. Upon entering life genuine, they begin to worry about whether they will be deceived, suppressed by the government, or led astray, weighing the pros and cons incessantly. Most people do not live in the present reality. They live in the hazy, ethereal future. But where is the future? The top floor of a building relies on the support of all the lower floors. Without the lower floors, there is no top floor. The future of life is constructed by each present moment. Without today, there is no future. More importantly, the future of a happy person is happiness. The future of an anxious person is anxiety. You reap what you sow. The flower that blossoms depends on the seed you plant, and the sound of passing gas depends on the food you consume. A person's future is built upon their current state of mind. If one constantly worries, their future will be filled with worry. If one is constantly troubled, their future will be filled with trouble. If a person suffers throughout their life, their future will inevitably be filled with suffering. You reap what you sow, and you grow melons from melon seeds and beans from bean seeds. If you have long-term concerns, you will inevitably have immediate troubles, without exception. Long-term concerns are not a good thing. They cause more harm than good. Long-term concerns are a sign of a diseased mind and a mark of ignorance. Let me illustrate with a few examples. In Zimbabwe, there was a man who, when the exchange rate was 6.3 Zimbabwean dollars to $1, lived frugally, denying himself the clothes and comforts he should have enjoyed. He was harsh on himself and his family, saving up money to prepare for imagined future difficulties. He managed to save 10,000 Zimbabwean dollars, which at the time was worth over 1,500 US dollars. He kept saving, but as the Zimbabwean dollar plummeted, today, his savings, including interest, amount to just 0.20 US dollars. Isn't that heartbreaking? A construction company from Gansu province has a branch in Zimbabwe. About 4 years ago, the company had two project managers in their 40s working there. During their time in Zimbabwe, they lived frugally and never spent a penny unnecessarily. They saved money primarily for two reasons: to buy a house and to cover their children's college tuition. Just a week before returning to China, the two were driving over 200 kilometers from Harare to a site to handle one last matter. On the way back, they had a car accident and both died on the spot. Isn't that tragic? I know someone who is quite talented, and I encouraged him to quit his job and try working abroad. At first, he was eager and enthusiastic, but 2 years have passed, and he's still in the same place. When I asked what happened, he said there were many practical concerns he couldn't ignore. What if I get sick? What if I fail? What if I lose my home? What if immigration sends me back? And what if, while I'm away, my child gets into trouble during this crucial growth period? I followed up, saying, right. And what if a third party intervenes and your wife runs off with someone else? Life is a journey, an experience, and there's no real failure in life. Those who worry about distant troubles create their own suffering in their minds, worrying about things that do not exist. Even the wisest people cannot fully see the future. Many of the difficulties and misfortunes you imagine at home simply do not exist. Out of 10 tools you prepare for the future, 9 may never be used. There is no need to spend time, energy, or resources preparing for the future. One should live in the present, fully utilizing all the conditions of the moment to do what is needed now. Some may say, your life genuine worries about things after death. Isn't that a distant worry? Yes, but I believe there is a difference in nature. The distant worries of ordinary people bring anxiety, while Life Genuine's distant worries bring beautiful aspirations. Life Genuine members live in boundless happiness, and every time they gaze towards the celestial island's continent in the distance, a sense of beauty arises naturally. We remain grounded, not missing out on the joy and pleasure of reality. Whenever there is a reason to be happy, I absolutely do not miss the chance. My loved one often teaches me to be modest, cautious, and not to get carried away. I say, life rarely brings joy. Whenever there's a chance, I choose to be happy first. As for the consequences, I will deal with them when they come. When I first started down the path of capitalism and began working independently, I rented a beautiful villa. A friend worriedly said, "You're just a family of 3. You don't need such a spacious house. You should live in something simpler to save money for any potential misfortunes." I replied, "If I can live in a nice house today, I'll enjoy it now. If I can't tomorrow, then I'll move." As it turned out, from the start until now, the houses I've lived in have only become more spacious and comfortable. I refuse to worry about the future. Some Life Genuine members express love for me. That's wonderful, and I gladly accept it. My approach is to love first and sort out the rest later. Whether my spouse will divorce me, whether a Life Genuine member's husband will file for divorce, or whether this will affect the future romantic prospects of unmarried members is not my concern. If we can be happy, let's be happy now and deal with the future when it comes. What I want to express is this: we should look forward to the future without letting it burden us with worries. Live in the present, not in a distant, imagined future. An anxious future leads to more anxiety. A joyful future leads to more joy. If we live now as celestial beings of the 1,000-year world, then our future life is already in the 1,000-year world. Only joy can create more joy. Worry never creates joy. If we spend our entire lives consumed by worries about the future, our troubles will never cease. This is what is meant by those who have long-term concerns will have immediate troubles. 把地球翘起来. Move the earth. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Someone once said, "Give me a lever and a fulcrum, and I can move the earth." That's nonsense. It's like saying, "Give me a spacecraft that can travel 1 billion times faster than light, and I can reach the 10,000-year world." The true sage is not the one who moves the earth, but the one who finds the fulcrum. Not the one who rides the spacecraft, but the one who can build it. According to the unconventional thinking theory of Life Genuine, there is no absolute impossibility in the world. There are only those who fail to consider all possibilities. There is nothing that cannot be done. Can we talk face to face across thousands of miles? Can we see everything happening on Earth while sitting at home? The answer is, people have already achieved this. Can humans live for 10,000 years? Can they live forever? Can all terminal illnesses be cured? Can people live in the Elysium world? Many might say it's impossible, but in reality, it's not just possible. It's absolutely achievable. Life Echanuan's theories have already addressed these questions. There's nothing that cannot be done, only things that are beyond the reach of one's thinking. Life is a non-material structure with spirituality. As long as this structure remains unchanged, one can live forever. Terminal illnesses are merely external manifestations of imperfect life structures. By perfecting the structure of life, terminal illnesses will vanish without a trace. Can people live in the Elysium world? It's as easy as flipping your hand. Sorry, the secrets are only for Chanyuan celestials. Can the Earth be moved? With Mars as the fulcrum and standing on Pluto to pry, you can move the Earth. Another nonsense statement, right? The first question is, where would you get such a long lever? Next, who can stand on Pluto to pry? And then, who has the strength to do it? A single straw can break a camel's back. There's no doubt about that, right? A master of Taiji can use 4 ounces to move 1,000 pounds. The most exquisite swordsmanship has no sword. The best cultivation is not cultivating. The most refined mystical arts have no form or appearance. The strongest is the softest. The mightiest is the weakest. Laozi said, "Great perfection seems flawed, yet its use is boundless. Great fullness seems empty, yet its use is endless. Those skilled in counting do not use counters. Those skilled in closing shut without bolts yet cannot be opened. Those skilled in tying bind without ropes yet cannot be untied." Illness arises from the mind, and the environment is shaped by the mind. The form of life corresponds to one's way of thinking. Consciousness creates reality. What is the distance between the atomic nucleus and the electron? How vast is the distance between Earth and Pluto? Measuring micrometers and nanometers with an inch is like using an atomic bomb to kill a mosquito. Measuring light years with a yardstick is like using grains of sand to measure the Milky Way. So, which is longer, the inch or the yard? It's all for entertainment. Holographic thinking is simply wonderful, indescribably joyful, boundless, and unrestricted. Play however you like. Not only can you lift the Earth, but you can also sweep the entire Milky Way into an iron dustpan with a broom. 100,000 light years pass in the blink of an eye. It's so much fun. No wonder Sun Wukong can travel 108,000 miles with a single somersault, just a piece of cake. No wonder the Earth-traveling sun can freely walk through the Earth, like a shark swimming in water. No wonder Laozi sighed and said, "Those of ancient times who were good at the Tao were subtle and profound, mysterious and all-penetrating, deep beyond comprehension." No wonder the Buddha Shakyamuni taught his disciples to let the mind arise without abiding anywhere. Marvelous! Marvelous! How great was Lizi's teacher, Huzi? Hey, my friend, if you have nothing else to do, try lifting the Earth for fun. It's quite entertaining. 明道若昧，进道若退. The way of the Tao seems obscure. Advancing in the Tao seems like retreating. Xiefeng. May 3, 2006. Translation edited by Qinyu. The bright, great path appears dim and obscure. The road to progress seems like a series of setbacks, shedding armor and helmet. The smooth path appears rugged and full of danger. The mature path feels innocent and childlike, returning to simplicity. The dark path seems sunny and well-lit. The regressive path appears to be thriving, advancing daily. The rugged path looks flat and wide, as if smooth and straight. The ignorant path seems intelligent and well-guided. The path to freedom feels filled with barriers and difficulties. The road to joy seems weighed down with heavy shackles and great losses. The path to happiness looks burdened with debts, needing daily repayment. The road of love resembles a wind-swept bamboo forest, with affection scattered. The path to becoming a ghost, a lost or restless spirit, appears radiant and charming. The road to becoming human resembles a vigorous competition in a jungle. The path to becoming immortal, a celestial being, seems at peace with the world, soaring freely. The way to becoming a Buddha, reaching enlightenment, feels like drunkenness and dreaming, moving against the current. With every rise, there